I mean, even Einstein said it's a vibrational universe. I mean, when there's a vibrational match between you and some experience that exists in the quantum field, get ready, because if you're drawing experiences to you, and then all of a sudden you have to keep redefining abundance. You can't have a great meditation, feel all holy, feel all spiritual, feel all connected. And then the moment you open your eyes, you return back to the program. You start getting angry, you start getting frustrated, you start getting impatient. The moment you do that, you just disconnected from the energy of your future, and you're back to the energy of your past. And don't expect anything to change in your life. That in fact, the whole purpose of this work is to change the brain and body so that when you get up from your meditation, that you can maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day. And if you can, get ready, because weird and wonderful things are going to begin to happen in your life. So you got to be able to sustain that state with your eyes open, as well as you did in reaching there with your eyes closed. And it's a practice. It's a practice. When there's a vibrational match between you and some experience that exists in the quantum field, get ready, because if you're drawing experiences to you, and then all of a sudden you have to keep redefining abundance. I mean, my definition of abundance today is very different than it was just a year ago, because so many people think abundance is about money, but abundance is having more than you need. Like having way more than you need. So all my needs are met and then some. And then when you have that experience, then what is your next definition of abundance? If you truly believe then that's abundance, is there another level? But you would never know that until you've had the experience of abundance to that point. So then all of a sudden, our definitions begin to change. Same thing with health. You see all these people, they come in and they think that they just want to get their body healthy. But what they're really doing is getting their mind healthy. And they're changing their energy. They're having all these other things going on. And they reach a point where they're so happy with themselves. They're so in love with life. They're in such a state of grace and gratitude that they could care less if they have the disease, because they're so happy with them. That's the moment disease goes away, because they're no longer the same personality. They're somebody else. The disease exists in the other person because they're thinking differently. They're acting differently. They're feeling differently. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality. And your personality creates your personal reality. Change your personality, you change your personal reality. Most people are trying to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it doesn't work. You literally have to become someone else. When you believe in possibilities, you believe in yourself. So many people close the door to possibilities because they're viewing their future through the lens of the past. Why? The brain is a record of the past. It's an artifact of everything you've learned and experienced in this moment. It's wired to the past. And feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences. So most people wake up in the morning, they start thinking about their problems. Those problems are memories that are etched in their brain that are connected to certain people and things at certain times and places. The moment they start remembering their problems, they're already thinking in the past. Every one of those problems has an emotion associated to them. So they start feeling discouraged. They start feeling unhappy. They start feeling like a failure. And the moment they feel those emotions, now the body's in the past. Why? Because thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. And how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So in a sense, most people wake up and their entire state of being is in the past. So how can they see a new possibility when they're viewing their future through the lens of the past? So then I say, if you're not being defined by a vision of the future, then all you're left with is the memories of the past, and you will be predictable in your life. So people love to wait for trauma or crisis or disease or diagnosis or loss or something to go wrong in their life where they just reach their lowest point where they say, I got to change and I got to stop thinking this way. What have I been thinking about? How have I been acting? How have I been feeling? And the act of observing yourself by observation begins to disentangle you from the program, because now you're the consciousness observing the program, and you begin to objectify your subjective self. That's lighting a match in a dark place, and most people would rather turn on the TV, they'd rather get on their cell phone, they'd rather get on the internet, they would rather something outside of them change how they feel inside of them. And this work is about regulating it without anything outside of you, because when you do that, now you're free. You don't need a person, you don't need a drug, you don't need a thing, you don't need a shopping spree, a football game. You don't need any of those things. You can do it by yourself. And that's when we begin to develop this thing called unconditional love. Because our students, we've measured their neurotransmitters. Oxytocin levels, and many of our students go up hundreds of times. Oxytocin is the love chemical, and oxytocin signals nitric oxide, and nitric oxide signals a chemical called derived endothelial relaxing factor, which is a big word for causing your heart to literally swell, causes the arteries in your heart to get more oxygen, more nutrients, more blood. It's not something mystical. It's very physiological. It's like just like when you're sexually aroused and blood flows there, the same thing is happening, but only it's happening in your heart, and you feel with a different consciousness so much love. This is where our creative center starts. This is where the beginning of our divinity. This is our connection. This is the union of polarity, the union of opposites. This is oneness, and where wholeness begins. This is where we should be creating from. So if you can't get energy here, and you can't feel a love for your future, that means then on some level you're more addicted to the emotions of the past. So then this is really fundamental, because when people start to make those changes, they start getting happy for no reason. And all the things that they thought they wanted, the career, the relationship, all those things, they no longer want them because they feel so whole, they feel like they already have them. And so if your oxytocin levels are up 200 times, you're so in love with life, you feel so amazing that you wouldn't start judging another person, because if you did, you'd lose the feeling. And people start figuring out, I'm just going to stop judging. Hey, that person that betrayed me 10 years ago, I feel so whole, I'm going to let them go. I gotta take my attention off them, because you feel so great. You don't really care about them any longer, and that's forgiveness, but you're not trying to do it. You're not trying to be spiritual. You're not trying to be forgiving. It's the side effect of a shift in consciousness. And when energy makes it to the heart, it goes right to the brain. We've measured that enough times, and it resets the person's baseline for fear and anxiety. It begins to change the survival centers in the brain, and the person's no longer... so vigilant, looking around in their outer world of what's going to change and try to control and predict it. They're more relaxed into the present moment. And of course, now things are happening around them. So the work then becomes instrumental, not just because we want people to make those significant changes, but we also want them to reap the benefits of their own efforts. And I just talked to someone this morning, just huge manifestation happened to this woman. A lot of money, a lot of wealth. She's crying the whole bed. And she said, I'm starting to get that I created this. Now, that means then a layer of the illusion that we're powerless. You know, we have been so conditioned into powerlessness, into hopelessness, into self-limitation. One of those experiences where you pop above the veil and you start to see that you are that powerful, wow, but not in an egocentric way, not in, hey, look at me, I'm self-aggrandizing. It's more like you're humbled, and at the same time you feel amazing. Wow, imagine if the whole world was like that. And so we're piercing this 4-minute mile. This last year in our work, all the healings, all the amazing experiences, all the mystical moments, all the transformations that are going on in people, piercing through that 4-minute mile. Once the 4-minute mile was broken, then everybody said, hey, we can all do it. And within 2 weeks, everybody started breaking that down. Well, that's exactly what's happening. We're breaking through this veneer, this level of consciousness that says you are powerful. You could be old and be powerful. You could be young and be powerful. You could be healthy and powerful. You could be sick and be powerful. You could be anything you want and still do this. And in time, your biology begins to change, and so does your life. Imagine, listen, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. We were just talking about this at the week-long event in Vancouver just the other day. You got 1,000 people that all come to the event. Their attention is on their boss, their coworker, their ex, their husband, their kids, their everything in their outer world. They're shifting their attention all over the place. And I'm asking them to take all of their attention off of all of those people, all those things, unfold into this field and become pure consciousness. And out of anywhere you can place your attention, I'm going to ask you to place it on your heart. Now, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So in a sense, just like a flower that needs the life force to bloom, if you keep feeding your heart, your attention, and your energy, and you learn how to regulate and you learn how to trade fear for joy, and you start practicing this, in time, you'll be able to develop the skill to allow your heart to open more. So most people, though, they try it for second or two, and they say, well, it didn't really work. I'm having problems opening my heart. But if I keep pushing the person and we keep giving them more reasons to feel joy and love and freedom, and we start seeing a community starting to do it, like 1,000 people, okay? You have maybe 10% the first day that are starting to open their hearts. The moment they start to open their hearts, they're producing that coherent field around their body. And you're sitting next to a person and your field begins to mingle with their field. And all of a sudden those two fields come together and you build a bigger field. The higher the amplitude, the higher the energy. So in time, you start to see people in a community start to resonate in this frequency called love. And the heart's like it's an antenna in a sense. It begins to sense that and it begins to open more. At the same time, they're in an environment where they're safe. They're in an environment where there's no threats, there's no danger. They're retreating from their lives. They're disconnecting from the people and things and places, learning information and learning how to practice, how to use that information. Like a skill then, they begin to notice that they're feeling more joyful. They start to notice that they feel more love. And each day there's a progression. So we start every meditation in this work by acknowledging this creative center. Why? Because it requires a clear intention, which is a coherent brain, and an elevated emotion, which is a coherent heart, to begin to produce an effect on reality. So we teach students how to create brain coherence, and boy, we have so much research to show that you can do it. And we teach them how to create heart coherence, which we just did a huge experiment just last week in Vancouver, and the result of social coherence is an amazing thing, because our research also shows that when you open your heart, the people that you're connected to within your life will feel those autonomic effects. We can take 750 people, set them in a room, and have the people in the front wearing heart rate monitors, and everybody moves into an elevated state and sends the thought on the frequency of love, that the people wearing the heart rate monitors, that their bodies be healed, that their lives be enriched, that their dreams come true, that the mystical find them. And at this exact same time, and the exact same day, and the exact same meditation, many of those people, the majority of them, go into heart coherence. They're being affected in a very non-local way. So how do you change the world? Well, you get enough people in heart coherence that not only that they're just meditating for peace, they're not praying for peace, they're the living prayer of peace. They're the example of peace. They're walking their talk. They're walking the prayer. They are peace. They've reached that point where they are peace. And when you see people like that are unpredictable, like they're not normal in the way that everybody else reacts, they're giving you permission because of mirror neurons to do the same. And all of a sudden you see it's something else emerging, a new consciousness, like a flock of birds all moving at the same time, or a group of fish all moving at once. That living organism gives the appearance of one big organism to predators. And now you have this indivisible kind of group consciousness. That's where we're going in this. We want to, in the living organism called the human being, we heal one another. That's what we do. We take care of one another. We exchange information. We teach one another. We shine for one another, not because we want to be better, to show people that they can shine too. That's what the living organism does. So in this age right now, the age of this living organism, selfish individuality will not sustain the living organism. This kind of collective consciousness, this group consciousness, this selflessness is what begins to feed the living organism. And now, just like the school of fish, you have this one mind, one heart, where everybody's at a whole new level of consciousness. And if you do that really well, it's going to begin to produce measurable changes in the world. And hopefully that's where